So let's get started here in drawing your clock legs. This is where we're going to begin. Okay, pretty simple. I already have drawn a set of legs with all the embellishments. All right. As you recall, this piece of joinery in here, or that embellishment, that is called a dado. Okay. We have a 1/2 inch wide by 1/2 inch deep dado on our outside faces of our legs. If I rotate around, you can see that one there. And then we have 1/4 inch dados that are a 1/4 inch deep on the inside faces. Okay. So here's how we're going to begin with this. This is real simple. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on just one. And then once one is drawn with all the embellishments, we're just going to copy and rotate it. And in these next couple videos, I'm going to walk you through that. Okay. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw right next to these legs that I already have drawn. And what you're going to do first is you're going to take your rectangle tool. All right. There's my rectangle tool. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by pulling out that square, that shape. Okay. And here's where we need to know what dimension our legs are. Okay. So they are 3 inches. That's the first measurement that I'm going to go with here. All right. So they're 3 inches, comma, and then they are 1 1/4 inches. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in, 1.25 inches, enter. And there you go. There is the beginning shape of your clock leg. Okay. Immediately, I'm going to go to my push-pull tool. I'm going to click it. I'm going to come down here. Notice it highlights that face. Should be familiar with this. I'm going to get it started in the direction I want it to go. And they are 14 inches long. So once I get it established in that direction, I'm going to go ahead and just punch in that measurement, 14 inches, hit enter. And now I have that leg drawn. And it is 14 inches, 1.25 inches by 3. It's my proper dimensions. Okay. Immediately, your next step, this is very important that you do this. It's going to save you a lot of headaches. Okay. I'm in my tape measure tool here. To get out of that, I'm just going to hit escape on my keypad. And what I need to do immediately with my drawing is I got to select everything here. Okay. And the easiest way to do that, if I take my selection tool and I click, hold, and drag, notice everything is selected. All the edges and faces, everything is selected. I'm going to right click and I'm going to make this a component. You're going to want to name this here leg or clock legs. I'm going to go ahead and just punch in legs 2 because I already have legs 1 or clock legs. So I'm just going to punch legs 2 and I'm going to hit OK. And I know it's a component when I take my selection tool and I click on it and it lights everything up in that blue selection color. Okay. If it's only doing one face, you know you did not make it a component. Please select it all, right click, make it a component, and name it. All right. So since I have this as a component, we need to go ahead and do layout. No different than if we were in the lab and we were getting ready to machine this. We got to lay it out. Okay. So same thing here. What we got to do is we're going to do this 1/2 inch. This is a 1/2 inch wide. It's a 1/2 inch deep, and it runs the full length of my leg, 14 inches. So I'm going to use my tape measure here to lay this out. This dado should be centered. Okay. It's centered on this face. So across this face, it is centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hit O, which is my orbit tool. And I'm just going to position that a little bit. Okay. My tape measure is right here, or I can click right on my desktop on my keypad T, and that'll bring up that tool. There it is. Anywhere on this edge right here, this corner, anywhere, doesn't matter. Just make sure that it's on edge. I'm going to click and I'm going to start dragging out. I'm not holding my mouse down. I'm just going to kind of drag that out. All right. And notice it clicks right to the center, which is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that dotted line, that guideline in that location. So now I know where that's at. I said that this dado is a 1/2 inch wide. So now off of my center point, I can either measure to the left or to the right, and I'm going to go and drop another layout line. I'll zoom in to make this a little bit easier to see. And I want this to be 1/4. It doesn't matter where it's at right now because I'm going to physically punch in that measurement. 0.25 inches, enter, and there it is. It drops it. Now I'm going to click on that line, and I like to measure back. There's my ½ inch. I drop it. Pretty easy. Okay? So there's my layout there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to orbit around here, and I'm going to come to the top of my drawing. All right? I'm going to switch between my hand tool here and my orbit tool. In getting started with SketchUp, controlling your window sometimes is the biggest challenge. Okay? So once I get that position the way I want, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my tape measure. I need to now control my depth. It's a ½ inch deep. So anywhere on this edge, I want to come back in a ½ inch. Click, come back a ½ inch. There it is. It popped right up. I'm going to drop that line. All right. If I want to see my layout on the top to do some redundancy here, so right in this location, that's where I need to put my data. Okay. So once my layout is done, from the top of my drawing, what I want to do is I'm going to select it. Notice it's blue. I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit this component. When I select edit component, I'm going to go right to my line tool and I'm going to click 4 times to make this square right here. All right. Doesn't matter where I start. I'm going to start right here. Click once, twice, and end it. Okay. So now I drew that out. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to click off. I'm not worried about that line that's stretching across. I'm going to come right to my push-pull tool. And notice it gives me that little waffle pattern there. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push and pull that. Notice I can push that up. I can drag it down. I can keep manipulating that. All right. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to rotate my screen. And I'm going to come back to that push-pull tool because I'm still in my edit mode, but I want to drag that all the way down until I get offset limited. So going to your drawings, if you look at that, it gives you a specific layout as to where they are in location. Right, so no different than being in the shop and actually having that piece of material. We're going to do it here digitally. Okay, I'm going to take my tape measure, and I know that it's a ½ inch. Sorry, into my material. So from this face, I'm going to measure back ¼ inch. Get it going in the direction I want. I'll punch in ¼ inch. Enter, and there it is. I have that guideline at that distance. Now I know they are ¼ inch in from the edge. So somewhere here on my edge, I'm going to click, make sure I get my guideline, and I'm going to go ahead and place that at ¼ inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and place another one because they're ¼ inch wide. So from that line, ¼ inch over, and now right here in this location, that is where my ¼ inch dado needs to go. All right, I'm going to do the same thing from this end. I'll zoom in here, make it a little bit easier to see. Start coming this way. Look at that. It clicked right at ¼ inch locked in. So I'm just going to click one time with my mouse, drop it. I'm going to start from this line, and I'm going to come over a quarter. It did it again. Dropped right in there where I wanted it. Select it. Okay. So now I got my layout done. I'm going to go ahead and orbit just a little bit. Before I start editing this to make that dado. Okay, so here we go. What I need to do is I have my location laid out. I got to select my part. I'm going to right click and I got to edit component. If you don't edit, it will not work. You got to edit component. I'm going to draw where I want that rectangle to go. I'm going to take my push-pull tool, and I'm going to go ahead and knock that out. Come on. Offset limit, there it is. And there it is. I completely knocked that all the way out. There's my orbit tool. I'll zoom out here just to show you that that dado goes all the way down. Okay, let's do it again for this side here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, rotate it just a little. I'm still in my edit mode, so I'm just going to come back here to my line tool, and I'm going to click. Come back to my push-pull. And I need to offset that. There it is. And I have now drawn, I'll just select out of that. I have now drawn all my dados or embellishments that need to go in my leg. Okay, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch centered, 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch in from the edge on these 1/4 inch dados. Okay. Last thing I want to show you in this video is how to get rid of these guidelines. You're going to end up with a lot of guidelines if you don't clean them up. So real simple. I'm out of my edit component mode. I did that by just selecting on the desktop one time here. And then I'm going to come over to the right-hand side under display. And there is a command that says delete all guides. I select that, and I now have cleaned out all of my guides. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to take my selection tool. I'm going to click on that leg that I want to copy or the part that I want to copy. And notice it selects it all blue. I have it all selected. Good. Next step is I want to go to my move tool. Okay. My move tool is over here. So I take my move tool, make sure I'm clicked on that. And I can go to any one of my corners here. It doesn't matter, but I got to be on a corner. All right. While I'm on a corner, I'm not holding my mouse right now. All right, my cursor is there, but I'm not holding the mouse. What I'm going to do on my keypad is hold the control key, and notice it adds a little plus sign next to where my cursor was. Okay, so while I'm holding the control key, I'm now going to click and hold with my mouse. I'm going to let go of the control key, and now I'm going to drag out. And you can see while I'm holding my mouse, I can go ahead and move this to the location that I want. I want to make sure that it's parallel to the first leg that I drew. And notice it's on the green axis and it's telling me on green axis. Leave it on there. That way you know it's parallel. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in that location. Okay. It's still selected blue. So before I do anything, I want to deselect so I don't accidentally move it or alter it. And there you go. You now know how to duplicate a part. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this bad boy. Okay. Because I want my 1/4 inch dados here mirrored to the first one. They need to be facing one another. So underneath your move tool, what you're going to find is your rotation tool. So I'm going to select my part. I'm going to come underneath my move tool. And I'm going to go to my rotate tool. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm on my blue axis. Notice how it's clicking to my red and green. I want the blue one, or I'm going to rotate it in the wrong direction. So I click there, and then I click there. And I'm going to drag that right around. All right. And there it is. I rotated it. Okay. I'm going to deselect so I don't alter it. I'm going to go back to my move tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of click right down here in this corner, and I'm going to make them match up again, keep them parallel. And then I'm just going to move that back. And again, I'm not worried about the distance that they are apart. We'll do that in a later lesson once we draw our parts B's and C's that connect our legs together. We'll worry about distance. That should wrap up the lessons on how to draw your clock legs. There are 4 parts to them. Please make sure that you're saving your work, and we'll just keep adding to this. I'll see you in the next drawing.